What do you mean it's not on?
Your shit's not even on, dude. What?
What do you mean? I'm literally looking at it right now.
I can't. It's not showing up.
All right. Well, we'll reload it. No big deal.
Sorry, guys. Lots of technical difficulties. Studio mode. What do I need to do? I don't know how to use this blades.
Here, I'll send you another link.
Another link?
It's the same one. Fuck. It's the same link.
Should I swap it out, or is it gonna, like, refresh, or what? It's not working. What is going on with OBS Ninja? Hold on, guys. We gotta figure out something else for this shit. Oh, you're giving me the push one. It doesn't have to be the view one?
Huh?
It's your fault. You need to give me the view one, not the push one, right?
I don't know what that means.
There's two links.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Thank you, Blaze. Love you.
How about that?
I got it.
Does that work?
Hold on.
The Invisible Man.
Shit. Alright, hold on. I'm so sorry, y'all. This is why I shouldn't be in charge of technology.
Oh, you're fine. It wouldn't be much better. This is going to be a dope review. They don't even know yet. Like this is about to be the dopest episode we've done yet.
Why does this look?
See? Look at how beautiful I am.
Alright, it's fixing itself slowly. Alright, whatever. We're just gonna send it. Hi, guys! Welcome to Taste Buds! The worst fucking produced podcast in the world.
Have you seen my other podcast?
Yeah, I have.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, who we got today? We got Blaze, we got Larry, we got Smoke Green, Bry, Cassie,
everybody
Ox,
out cheer. They out cheer right now for us.
Nick City Elder, Sweet Aries, Damien. What's going on, guys? Yeah, we're gonna Bill O'Reilly it. Fuck it. We're just gonna send it. Alright. So, Karan, why don't you tell us a little bit about what we're doing today?
Today, we are doing a movie. So, Taste Buds, for those that are just joining us for the first time, it is only episode 6. We should treat every episode like it's everyone's first. So, I'll explain a little bit of what we do. We are a podcast show, live show thing, that we just kind of review things. We choose either movies, music, or food based on a wheel spin that we do at the end of the show. We put the Discord out there so that everyone can add suggestions to it for whatever the topic is. We take those suggestions, we put them all on a wheel, and we spin it 6 times to where we get 6 different selections that go into a poll, and then everyone votes on that poll. So it's literally up to chance and everyone's decision of what we review. The fun thing about that is this week we got a movie called Grave of the Fireflies. I've never seen this movie. I didn't know what to expect going into it. I was told it was kind of sad, but it was an anime. I was thinking, oh, cheery, bright colors. This will be fun. Right?
Yep. Full disclaimer, I have seen this movie before. I only watched it once because I told myself I'd never watch it again because it was so sad. So
really? You've only seen the movie once prior?
Yeah.
Oh, that's dope. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because it's fucking sad. I don't subject myself to that. So, yeah, if you guys have not seen Grave of the Fireflies, I'm not gonna get into it yet. Oh, yeah.
Buckle up.
I'm gonna take y'all for a nice little ride.
Oh God, yes. So who would like to start? Would you like me to start, or would you like to start?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so the first thing I put, what I do, I think Runa tends to do it too, is we kind of write notes as we're watching the movie. So as we go through the review, we're going to be kind of taking you guys scene by scene through, not quite scene by scene, but as best of a scene by scene thing that we can do with a podcast. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to hit out points that we thought were kind of special to us in the movie, what we thought stood out the most to us, and we'll just touch on that a little bit. So right off the bat, I have, wow, what an opening. Very first sounds of the movie or a date followed by that was the day I died. Like there wasn't even sound in the opening production. So much so that I had, and this is legit, I had to check my headphones to make sure they were still working. Like I pushed play. I watched it on Hulu, I believe. I pushed play. And when I did that, there was no sounds happening. Like I'm seeing the production companies and all that pop up, but absolutely no sound. And I'm like, what the fuck? Is my shit working? Is my shit turned up? I don't know. I mute the site for some reason. Nope. Just had to wait for the guy to start talking. And that was just, oh, yep, this is the day I died. What? So I play, it begins to show what happened that day. And right away, there's already a thing of beauty that has happened. It shows a person at the brink of death. And everyone's avoiding him like he has the plague, calling him gross. He's just some guy that looks almost like a bum or a drug addict or something, just kind of hanging out, leaning up against the pillar, sitting down in what was like an underground railroad kind of thing. Like, what was that? Like a, what do they call those?
Like a tram, like a train station.
Tram car, that's the one. Yes, thank you. So yeah, like a subway almost. Fuck. So yeah, he's just kind of hanging out there. There's a lot of hustle and bustle of people around him and everything, and they're all calling him gross. And suddenly one person walks into another person and apologizes for it. And what stood out to me was it seems that the person avoiding the narrator, the one that was dying, was only interested in having a mob mentality and could care less that they may have bumped into someone that could be 10 times worse than the current deterrent. And I thought this was brilliant on the film's behalf because it really sets a tone in the darkness. And it also helps the viewer like feel a lot of empathy for the narrator, you know?
Yeah, I think like only one person helped him. They gave him some food. They just sat it down, but they were still commenting on how he was like disgusting and shit. Like it was awful.
Yeah. Yep. So that's what I have so far. Do you have anything to add to that scene or?
I mean, just further on.
Sure. Okay, well, before you get too far, then I also want to point out that it seems like a war is happening, and I said I'm just pointing that out because it's our third movie review, and all three took place during a war. I don't know if you caught that or not yet.
Bloodsport.
But like, he was the soldier. Remember, they were trying to get him to come back. I don't know. Okay, you know what? You're right. It may not have been during a war, but
he was just in the military.
It was, yeah.
Supposedly,
right.
We didn't know. Okay, this isn't a Bloodsport review. Let's.
No, it's not. Let's not go down that rabbit hole again.
All right, but yeah, so like he's like dying in the subway, and it cuts to like after everyone's like the hustle and bustle has died down. There's like a bunch of people like in the same position as him, like dying in this little tram station, and there's like two like dudes like custodians cleaning up the train station, and they're like, hey, you know, we need to get all this trash out of here, and they're basically treating the people like trash too, like looking into their eyes and like saying like, oh, this one's gone too, like, and so they go through their shit. And on speaking of train stations, it's time for Carnage's Choo Choo.
I couldn't tell if you could hear it or not, dude. I don't have the window open or nothing. I'm like, oh god, there's no way they can hear that, right?
Trying to figure out why you're over there geeking. I'm like, what is he laughing at?
God. I fucking hate that shit. Like on schedule, every goddamn fucking show. Oh god, sorry.
Anyway, in the train station.
Yeah, the main character's dying. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh my god. Anyway, they rifle through his body. I don't even know if he's like actually dead yet. They're just like going through his shit. And like they pull out like this rusted can, and he's like, what is this? And the other guy tells him, it doesn't matter, just throw it the fuck out of here, it's trash. So he goes outside and he's like looking at it, and he tosses it into the bushes, and when it hits the bushes it kind of rolls and something falls out of it, and you're like, oh my god, what is that? And then it like starts into like almost like a little bit of a flashback scene, like where suddenly the boy is there and there's like a little girl with him that you assume is like his little sister, and they're like having a good time, like laughing and playing around. And then it shows where they're on a train, and this is something that I wanted to touch on because from my previous knowledge of this movie and other Studio Ghibli movies is that Miyazaki uses trains as a way to signify moving between spiritual realms. So I picked up on this because he does it in Spirited Away, and then like with the bus in My Neighbor Totoro. It's, I don't know, I think it's symbolism there when they're riding the train. Well. Yeah.
So
I could be wrong,
for me, yeah, for me, this is this is a brand new experience on a lot of different levels. Not only have I not seen this movie before, I've seen Studio Ghibli movies before, but like when I was young, you know, I don't really
Yeah.
remember a whole lot of them. And whatever I do remember certainly didn't pick up on nuances like that, you know? So it was nice to watch a movie like this and appreciate all the symbolism and all the beauty that I had in it, you know, hidden layers underneath of just the outside shell, I guess you could say. But I did have on my next point. But go ahead, you keep going because it's not quite where my next thing is at yet. So
I'm pretty much done. Like, that was all I wanted to talk about. Like, where they're, oh shit, an alert. Amanda Darling, thank you for the follow.
oh, dope.
Appreciate that. But yeah, mine's just talking about that traveling between the spiritual realms, and then it cuts into like where we start to see the main story. So you can take it away.
Mm-hmm. So I put here's where the TikTok recording starts, right? At this point, I would very much like to mention that I have heard about how much this movie can depress you. I realize this means a lot. This means a lot of people probably have strong emotions attached to this movie, and because of this, I'm kind of worried that I won't feel the same empathy as others, and that might give off the impression that I don't think the scene was necessarily sad or meant to show empathy. But to combat this, I intend on pointing out when I think the movie wants the viewer to feel emotion like that. And I put, regardless of all that, the air raid scene is friggin' intense. And I put, of course, at this point, I'm beginning to wonder if there are going to be moments that aren't intense, you know, because this is just like, holy fuck, up to this point, it's been nothing but just sadness and just intensity. And like, you're starting to see all this shit come together, and like, there's an air raid that happens. And this is where we kind of meet the two main characters, right?
Yeah. So yeah, go ahead. No, you keep going.
So we have Saita. Saita is the big brother, right?
Saita.
And Saita, okay, sorry. And then Setsuko is the little girl.
Yep.
And Saita is telling their mom to get to the shelter because they hears the air raid alarms going off, or they know there's going to be one soon or something like that. So he's saying, like, get to the shelter, make sure you bring your medicine, all of that good stuff. And he kind of takes responsibility of the little girl and helps her go along his way. And yeah. And I even put like the two main characters so far are absolutely perfect. Well, this might be a little bit further in, but I put Setsuko being the child everyone can feel emotion for, while the big brother Seita tries to be her rock and keep her spirits up. Really makes the two main characters very likable right from the beginning.
Yeah. When the story starts, like, you see him, like, they're still at the house and mom's about to go to the shelter, and he's like burying supplies in the ground, like trying to like save stuff just in case. And
that's a good thing to mention. I forgot about putting that down.
Yeah, and he like, mom leaves, he takes Setsuko, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna take care of you. And he's like scrabbling around trying to grab precious things from the home. Like, he goes up to a picture of his father who's in like a military uniform. And I'm assuming, like, in Japanese culture, like when someone dies, they usually have it on an altar. So you kind of think that, you know, he's alive because it's just like a regular picture. So yeah, so you pick up that dad's maybe in the military, and they start running around. Air raid happens. Whole village is on fire, and he's just trying to get his sister to safety. And they end up at the elementary school after the whole raid's over. Holy shit.
Yeah. So the elementary school is where they find a lot of people that have been, you know, damaged by the fucking raid and all of that shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I put at this point, okay, I changed my mind. At this point, instead, I think it'll be just easier to point out the moments when the movie wants you to feel anything positive at all. Holy shit. I said, for example, we find the scene where Setsuko and Seito, well, I'm jumping ahead of myself a little bit here, but Seito finds out that his mother's been injured when he gets to the school. And he is like told, like, come on, you have to go see her. And someone there watches after Setsuko while he goes and tends to his mother and sees his mother. And when we get to the room that his mother's in, she is just bandaged up from head to toe and is just not doing well. And he's saying about how she has certain medicine she has to take. And they're telling him, like, we're trying to get her to the hospital as soon as possible. There's a lot of bodies going on around and everything. Like, there's a lot of shit going on. And her getting to the hospital is like not their main priority, which is mind-boggling to this kid because it's his mother and she's clearly in need of a hospital, and they're even telling him like she really needs a hospital, but they're not really doing anything to get her there. So it's super frustrating, and you just it's a lot of I don't know, almost like anxiety. Like, what do you guys mean you're not getting to her husband? Get her there, get her there. What are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
it's just you just want the character to be happy. You want the main character to be able to get his mom to fucking safety.
Yeah. And I think one thing we didn't point out was that the war that's happening, maybe you guys are into it enough to pick up on this, but it's World War II. Like, when the Americans were doing air raids and bombing on Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So this is set in the 40s.
The reason I didn't point it out is because it is set in the 40s. They do mention it's America. They do mention it's Japan. They just, never said it was specifically World War II, so I just kind of was like, I don't know but I mean, it's implied, sure.
Yeah. Well, I guess I can mention this now. This is based on like a true story. It's like loosely based though. Like the author, it was originally a book, and they made it into an animation because the author didn't want it to be live action.
I mean, rightfully so. I think there's things in this movie that if it was live action, I don't think anyone would want to watch this movie. Like, that would just be too much gore. It would be too much graphic stuff and just on top of the depressing, sad tones of the movie, it would just be too much emotion for a human to withstand. Like, no one should ever have to watch a movie that fucking depressing. Holy shit. Like, as a cartoon, at least there's bright colors and there's a lot of symbolism, like you said, too, that goes into this movie as well. And I feel like that wouldn't be as easily done if it was live action, the way that it is with animation. Like, there's something about the animation that really adds to the tone of the movie in this. So I'm kind of pleased with the fact that they went with animation rather than live action.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah. So anyway, we get to the scene where Sato has to explain to Setsuko that mom's been hurt. And like, she finds this out, she hears this, and like, it's there's something well done here by the voice actor. They make it so that it's not a whiny cry that the little girl does. It's not like a cry that you would hear if a child's been hit or hurt or something like that. It's more of a child not really understanding something fully. And that they're sad about it, but you also know that they don't really understand what's going on. And that makes them even more frightened. Like, they capture all of that in a little girl's crying. Yeah. Like, a little girl whimpering that captures all of that. And holy fuck, how depressing that scene is, because you hear it and it's just like, that sounds like a child crying, like that just found out their mother died. And it's so well done. And after about a solid 60 seconds of hearing nothing but the gut-wrenchingly depressing sounds of a little girl that is trying to hold back crying, we finally see the brother try to have fun on a pull-up bar to make his sister smile. It was a nice 5 seconds.
Yeah.
The fucking guy having fun.
Well, I think that says something about Seta too. Like, because all of a sudden all of this is on his shoulders. Like, dad's away, mom is horribly burned and unconscious, and it falls on him to bear this new burden. And he's trying to hold himself together too by doing this, I think. Like, and it's funneling his energy into making her happy, like trying to just make her feel better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's important to mention that he kind of like instantly does that. Like, you can kind of see it in the 60 seconds here, however long it was, where she was crying and he's just kind of watching her cry, and he's a kid still, so he's kind of like unsure what to do. And then all of a sudden he's just like, well, I'm gonna go be a big brother, hey, look at me on the monkey bars, like, and that was just the most, like, it was perfect, because you kind of relate with the fact that it's just a kid, and like, he doesn't know what to do right away, so he's just going to do whatever he thinks is going to make his little sister happy. And at the same time, he doesn't have time to process all of this. So like, mentally for him, this has to be damaging for him.
Yeah.
On top of that, he never actually got to talk to his mother at that point. Like, when he came in to see her, she was already asleep. And the doctor even told him, like, she just got to sleep. After not sleeping for so long, she finally fell asleep. So, don't disturb her, in other words. So like, he never got to talk to his mom or anything in that moment. So like, it's just he's upset because his mom's hurt and he has to tell his little sister about it, but he sees his little sister's upset, so he has to squash down that upsetness and just be big brother. And it's something. It's
Yeah.
something.
It's very, very
Uh
sad.
yeah, so anyway, oh, buckle up. So anyway, yeah, so I said, him on the monkey bars, 5 seconds of happiness. That was nice. Well, moment's gone, mom's dead.
Yeah, well, it doesn't like exactly, it kind of implies that she's dead. It doesn't like
True.
doesn't come out and say,
True.
"Hey, your mom's dead." Like it shows her, she's like covered in maggots and they're like,
Yeah.
it's so hot today, we have to move her into the truck. And you're like, "Okay, she's still alive. Are they moving her to the hospital? Like what's happening?" And
I had to rewind this scene a couple of times, and I'm kind of, not to say that I don't like watching movies with people, but I'm kind of glad that we got to watch it on our own, because I had to rewind it a bunch of times going, wait a minute, is she dead? Like,
yeah.
was the maggots a way to signify death? And then I started listening to the conversation, and it's like, no, he's telling her, like, sorry, we got to get her on the truck as fast as possible to go be burned. So clearly they're going to go cremate her, and they want to do it before the heat kicks in and the body really starts to rot away. So,
Yeah.
and they're even telling them then, like, sorry, we have to leave the bandages on. You don't want to see her without the bandages anyway. And it's like, holy fuck, this kid not only did not get a chance to say goodbye, but now he has to figure out how to tell his already upset little sister. And on top of that, he didn't even get a chance to see his mom one last time. All he got to see was just this burned, charred corpse wrapped in bandages that someone told him was his mom, It's a fucking lot to deal with.
Horrible.
And holy shit, what a opening half hour of a movie.
For real, it's awful.
Not even. I mean, it was more like 15 minutes in.
Yep.
So yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so they wrap with that and he decides to, maybe we'll go stay with our aunt on our father's side. And she kind of seems like a bitch, like right off the bat. She's like, "Oh, okay, I guess you can stay with us." And
Go ahead.
he's still telling his little sister that mom's in the hospital and they'll go see her soon.
Yeah.
And Seta writes to his dad, who's presumably off in the war. And the aunt's like, he tells the aunt that, she's dead. And she's like, "Why didn't you tell me?" He's like, "Because I didn't want Setsuko to know." So you realize that he's like bearing this by himself to spare her and try to give her like some kind of sense of normalcy, And,
yeah, as like a little girl that's suffering through a fucking war, like, yeah, he's trying, like you said, give her some sort of sense of normalcy. That's a perfect way to put it.
Yep. So they're like settling in there, and he goes back to where their house is a burned down nothing, and he digs up the fucking pot of food that he had stored before the initial air raid, and you kind of see Seta cut loose with himself a little bit here. It seems like he's sort of enjoying it. He's like enjoying the cool water and the fact that he has like these pickled plums and he's like enjoying that, and he's like, yes, a little bit of luck. You finally see him perk up a little bit. And he takes the food back to the aunt's house and they end up sharing it.
Okay, so I actually made a couple of notes here that, saying that he manages to get a nice find by getting a bunch of foods that aren't easily accessible because of the war, including treats that his sister really enjoys. Yay, a happy moment. I also said, I would like to point out the detail in the animation is superb. Like, you can feel how refreshing the water feels to him. You can almost get the exact sense of how sour those pickled plums are going to be. It's just such a really fine thing, the details that the animators put into this team, like the production team. It really shows off how important having the proper animators on a production team can be. Like, even if you're, whatever the case may be, like this, I feel like that added so much to this movie, just like you said earlier, the symbolism and just the overall beauty of what they're trying to convey through some of the scenes and everything. It's perfect, man. It's a really nice thing. It's a nice details added. So something I picked up on pretty early with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also put, it seems like the aunt is giving off the vibe that they are a burden. It might just be her personality, but I get bad vibes from her. I think the writing is great to be able to give off these vibes, and wanted to point that out because of that mostly. So yeah, animators are great, and I thought the writing was pretty good up to this point too, because like, just, you get the vibe that the aunt is bad, but she had nothing to really give you evidence that she's bad yet. And I was just like, man, that's good writing right there. Because you already know this aunt's going to be a cunt.
Yep.
But she hasn't done anything to be a cunt yet. And I'm like, man, that's so good. But anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I just kind of wanted to nerd out about that a bit.
Yep. She's like complaining about stuff when he brings food home. She's like, oh, this is awesome. Is this butter? And then she's like, just like, oh, military families get to eat better and blah, 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 blah. Just like bitching about stuff for no reason. So you're like, oh, she is kind of a bitch, but she hasn't done anything wrong yet. Like,
right. So I have the beach scene next. Do you have something before that?
I do. When they go outside to play with the fireflies at night.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's important. Oh my God.
Yeah, they go outside and, Setsuko's trying to, catch a firefly and she smashes one. I was like, holy fuck, is that some foreshadowing right there? Like, it was, just kind of sad. You're like, okay, that's cool. Some more symbolism there. And let's see. Oh, also, Seita's like when he goes to get the food, I don't think I mentioned this, like the candy tin was in there. You mentioned it, but the candy tin that was in the initial scene where the guy throws it out into the bushes is there. So it's like you're kind of keeping your eye on it at this point.
Yeah.
And,
yep, that's a good point. It's definitely an underlying theme that the movie wants you to pay attention to this candy tin. They're clearly trying to make a point that this candy tin is important. And I was
important.
You pick up on it. Yeah, important. It's important.
Yeah, when they're outside playing with the fireflies, he's like, I have something special for you, close your eyes, and he puts one in her mouth and she's like so ecstatic and makes her so happy, and it's just a sweet moment. Yeah, it's a sweet moment, and it was a much needed break.
All right, so beach scene?
Yeah.
Okay, so I put, oh yay, beach scene, happiness, right? Right up until the point where the little girl sees a dead body. Then it's a flashback scene with her no longer living mother. Almost seems like a nice moment for Seita to remember up until he gets reminded with the reality of an air raid alarm. And he kind of snapped back to reality. I didn't know if there was anything you want to touch about the beach scene other than that, but
yes.
Okay.
just one little tiny detail. Whenever Seita jumps into the water and Setsuko's taken off her clothes, when she goes into the water, you notice that she has like a rash on her back. Like she's starting to get these little patches, and you're like, oh,
So I seen that and wasn't sure if that was just something that the animators put in to like convey different shades of, depth or whatever. I didn't know what it was quite yet because she had the rosy cheeks already going on. So, I mean, you could look at them and go, does she have ringworms? But it's just an animator showing that it's a cute little kid having rosy cheeks. So I wasn't 100% sure how to take those pink blotches on her back just yet. But I did catch them right away.
Yep. It was a rash. So anyway, air raid, horn sounds. And they're like, we gotta get to the fucking shelter.
Yeah. And the next part I have is when they trade the kimonos. So I'm not sure if there's anything prior to that.
Nope, where the aunt convinces him to sell his mother's kimonos.
Right. Convinces him to sell the mother's kimonos, and then they get a shit ton of rice with it. Right? Like way more than they expected to get. Yeah. And he was very, very happy about this. Like he turned in those kimonos, and you can see between Seita and Setsuko that they were just like, yes, we have so much rice. This is so exciting. What a positive turn for us.
Yep.
And when they bring it back, the aunt goes, okay, let's divvy up the rice. Here's your share. And you kind of take, at least me, I took that and was just like, what the fuck you mean your share? Like, this is their rice. Like, and then I just kind of thought, well, then again, they're kids and they're staying at this person's house. So, okay, I guess,
Yeah. Well, and also I think it's worth pointing out, it's not necessarily one scene, but over the time that they're staying at the aunt's place, when they have the dinner or the breakfast scenes, like you see that everyone's getting, like the people in her family are being fed better than the two kids. Like there was one, like after they got the rice, where they just got like plain rice, and then her daughter had like some nice like fucking miso shit on hers with like little mushrooms and shit. Like it just, you get the sense of unfairness, but Seita doesn't say anything because he's, he's trying to make his way, you know, not be too much of a burden or like a bother to his aunt.
Yeah. Yep. And we kind of see this all come to fruition when the scene happens where, you know, they're eating, I guess, breakfast, and they're having rice. They're having a bowl of white rice that they just got, and they're all happy about it. And Setsuko's kind of just like, I'm not really feeling rice porridge anymore, and that's all they've been getting so far. And he's like, Saita is just like, no worries. Or excuse me, Seita is just like, no worries. She's making rice balls. The aunt was making these rice cakes or rice balls, whatever they were. And went as far as mentioning, hey, what about the pickled plums? Can we get them in one of the rice balls? And she's like, no, pickled plums went a couple of days ago, and these rice balls aren't for you. They're for people that aren't lazy and actually support this family a little bit. What?
Yep.
And at that moment, I said, and there's the asshole I knew their aunt was. I said, Saita literally, Seita literally supplies the house with rice, and she decides how much of it to get, and it's much less than her family. So yeah, that's just a very cunty thing to do, and figured I'd call her out for it.
Total bitch.
And I continued on for that pretty much. Then she says, then she all but kicks them out. So it looks like we won't have to worry about her anymore, because it seemed like at one point she was just like, you know, if you don't like it, there's the door. And he's just like, all right.
Well,
so
she was telling them, like, if you guys don't like, you know, what I'm doing, you can start cooking for yourself and, like, do your own thing. Like, I don't care.
That's what it was. Yes, I'm sorry. I forgot about that part. You're
yeah, right. So Seita's like, bet, bitch. And he goes down to the bank. Mama got a little bit of yen in the bank. He pulls some out. He buys a stove. He buys some, like, cute little things for his sister, like a little comb that she wanted. And he goes home with a fat sack of food. And they're sitting in their room, and he's cooking, and they're enjoying their food. And you just see the aunt in the back just bitching. She's, like, so jealous about it. And, because he showed her up. And I was like, yes, go, boy, go.
And then on top of that, there's even a little moment where, like, Setsuko kind of points out to him, like, hey, you finished, and you're being rude about table manners. You're not having good manners. And he kind of replies to her, like, well, that's all right, because we can do whatever we want here.
Mm-hmm.
And you can almost see, like, that sense of liberation, like, oh, shit, we can do whatever we want. And they just really seem to like that.
Yep. Because, I don't know, they were under such, like, a strict regimen under their aunt, and, like, they're just enjoying themselves at this point. So you're kind of like, y'all go. Good for y'all.
Mm-hmm.
And, let's see, what's next? So in between, like, all of this, like, every time Setsuko gets, like, upset or something and he can't calm her down, he basically bribes her with fruit drops. So, like, anytime she's crying, he gives her one, and she's just, like, happy again. So I think she's starting to, like, form an attachment to those fruit drops.
I didn't even pick up on that, but that's a good point. Like, as a child, you think she just knows, like, oh, if I cry, I get a fruit drop.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was one comfort that she had. And she runs out. And so he makes her this, like, he puts water in the tin, and he's, like, shaking it up, and he serves it to her in a little teacup, and she's, like, so excited about it. But now the fruit drops are gone. And you've also seen Setsuko understand about scarcity at this point, too, because when she was running out of the fruit drops, he, like, pulled them all out, and there's, like, 3 stuck to one another and, like, 2 little crumbs. And she looks at them, and you can see her considering, like, I want these, but this is all that's left. So she takes the 2 little crumbs, and she puts the rest of it back in the tin. So, I don't know, I thought that was kind of an interesting moment, like, seeing that she's...
Character development.
Yeah, she's getting some understanding of, like, I can't have what I want all the time.
Yeah. Yep. And I put here that... Oh, okay, I'm sorry. This is the next one being where they spend a night with no fruit drops. And Setsuko starts crying.
Yep.
Are we ready to move that part? Okay, yeah. Yep. So I'm sorry. So I will say that Seita is really easy to like. He does next to nothing wrong and is incredible at lifting his little sister's spirits, which I will also say is one of my favorite qualities of his, because his sister cries a lot and it's loud. And that's all I put there. But I said, speaking of, I really do like the sounds in this movie. The music is absolutely on point. The sound effects are just superb. Like, when someone's crying, you feel why they're crying. Like
Mm.
the crying is just so, the voice acting I said before was just really good in here. So I think it's fair to say at this point that I watched the English dub version of this. And the reason I watched the English dub version, because I was told by a couple people that it wouldn't really make too much of a difference. And I know you like the subbed version, right?
Mm.
And I figured it'd be interesting to see exactly how different the two are with the two of us review. I should have mentioned this earlier. I'm sorry. But it doesn't seem like it really made that much of a difference as of yet.
Yeah, I had to watch it dubbed as well because I didn't have
Oh, okay.
access. I didn't want to rent it just to watch it in
Right.
subbed. And plus, I
Yeah.
figured it would give me a little bit more freedom to take notes. So,
And what was also cool about it is it's not bad. Like sometimes dub versions of stuff gets a lot of flack because the voice acting's not that great. Like everything's just kind of second rate, right?
Yeah.
Like it's clearly not how the movie was intended to be made. So this is not the most effort put into it. It's just trying to get more, cast a wider net, basically.
yeah.
This movie did something different, man. They put a lot of effort, or at least it seemed like, into their voice acting. They put a lot of effort into just the translation, and it didn't seem like anything was lost on translation or anything like really fell short because of a different culture. None of that really came through in this movie. Like I was on top of everything. It was I thought it was well done, like the dub version and everything. Like it was just wanted to point that out, that like dub versions usually get a lot of flack, but this one was, in my opinion, really, really well done. I mean, I don't know what the original sounds like, so it's kind of hard to compare with something I haven't seen yet, but as the only version of this I've seen, I thought it was good. So,
Yeah, I'd agree with you. It's well done.
Yeah. But anyway, then I put, well, I was wrong about the ant being gone, but goddamn, she's a cunt.
Yep, she really is. So, what are they doing? I forget if they're like out and about somewhere, but they decide, I think they're going and exploring, and they find this old bomb shelter.
Right.
And Seita's like, why don't we live here? Because, Setsuko's like upset about the aunt being such a cunt. And,
well, yeah, because there was a scene prior to that happening where Setsuko was crying because she was out of fruit drops, and Seita just could not stop her from crying and like didn't know what to do. And the aunt just comes in and it's just like, you gotta quiet that baby down. Some of us work, and motherfucker, the poor girl just lost her mom and she's crying because she is starving. The least you could do is have a little bit of empathy, other than you have to work, otherwise you're not allowed to cry.
Pretty much. And they still haven't heard from their dad at this point either, so...
Yeah, that's another good thing to point out. It was like, at this point, Seita said that he wrote his dad like 10 days ago and still no response, so that was starting to be kind of worrisome.
Yeah.
But anyway, so to continue on your whole shelter thing, I put Seita continues being a great provider when they move and take refuge in a shelter they find.
Yep, they find this little bomb shelter and they're just kind of, reveling in their freedom from out under the ant. And, did you have anything else to throw in here before I get to, like, their first night?
I do, actually. I just wanted to point out that while setting up and showing all the details that go into setting up, it really shows off how detailed the animation is. That's pretty much it. I just wanted to point out, like, it was a cool, like, little montage scene. Not really a montage scene, but just the whole setting up scene where they're just setting up house and setting up shop in this little bomb shelter. Really, really went into, like, how much they show details in every single little thing. And I was just super appreciative of that as a viewer,
Yeah. Okay.
And then I put, so I put, this really happens when the Fireflies in the bug net scene takes place. And I figured that's what you wanted to talk about.
Yeah. So they're spending their first night at their new little house together. And, they're just, reveling in their freedom, having a good time. And the Fireflies are out. So Seita's like, let's catch a few. And they bring them inside where they have the mosquito net hung up. So the Fireflies can't get out. So it like lights up their little area. And then they go and get a bunch of them. They get like a whole bucket full of them. And they come out and it's like super magical. And at this point, this is where I had the utmost respect for Seita, because this is him trying to keep the magic alive in her childhood, even though he's still a child himself. Like he's just giving everything he can to her. And you see him slip a little in this moment too. Like you can tell like he's hurt. He's just not sure what to do. And he's
Well,
like,
this was such a cool scene because like he's having a memory about the happier time with his father's Navy show, and he's telling the story of the Navy show, right?
mm-hmm.
And then he gets snapped back to reality because he starts to imitate a shoulder. Jesus Christ. He starts to imitate a soldier firing at the very thing that made all this happen. So he just like, he's imitating a soldier. He's like, with the gun and everything. And then he starts to say like, oh, take this, air raiders. And then he's just like, he stops and he goes, oh shit, I'm playing about something that literally just, is possibly destroying my family. Like it's such a snap back to reality moment that you see. And again, incredible job by the animators to just like be able to convey that emotion across his face and everything.
Yep.
And then I also have, so they go to bed and they go to sleep, and he tries to hold his sister while he's sleeping, and she kind of shoos him away, like, oh, get off me, And this really gives the viewer, I wrote, the sense of how alone he's feeling, and the fact that he hasn't really had a moment to take it all in yet. And the very idea that he is just still this kid that hasn't dealt with this grief yet, and he's just trying to latch on to someone to feel like some sort of comfort, and his very own little sister who he's taking care of is just like, get off me, and he's just like, oh fuck. It's such a sad moment, but it's kind of beautiful in the same way because it really shows like how much he's dealing with at the time. You don't really see it because of how much of a facade he puts on, but damn, he's hurting right now, you know.
Yep, so after this, the next morning, I guess he's like been off somewhere, and he comes back, and Setsuko is burying the Firefly corpses from inside the bomb shelter. And the juxtaposition of this is just horrible, because the night before, they're happy, like there's all this magic happening. And the next thing, she's like really cold, like burying the Fireflies. And then he's like trying to talk to her, like, he's kind of horrified. And then she's like, she let slip that the aunt told her that their mom was dead. And he's just like, fucking what? So she's known for who knows how long. And it's just so sad watching her bury these fucking bug corpses, knowing that her mom is in a grave too. And it's just terrible. It's terrible.
And I put, it makes Seta break down a little bit. Like we finally see that emotional breakdown happen here. Like he just starts crying, and I put here that the music hits just right, and this is a clear cut depressing scene just done well.
Yep.
But I put this continues on the path of depression when we find out that there's no more food left. And Seta has to start trying to beg farmers to trade with them.
Yeah, like up until this point, there is a farmer that was kind of helping him out. And now money can't buy food.
Yeah, which is depressing to hear. And then all of a sudden he realizes that doesn't work out, so he turns to stealing food. And then on top of that, we find out that Setsuko is just not feeling well, and that the rash that we pointed out earlier is in fact a rash, and it's getting much worse, really bad actually. So he tries to steal some food that might help her. I think it's sugarcane specifically.
Yeah, some sugar.
He's trying to get some sugarcane to get some different nutrients in her body that she needs. And he gets caught and attacked by the farmer. And I pointed out here, like, he gets the shit beat out of him, and it's kind of fucked up. But then on top of that, the farmer takes him to a cop, and the cop is just like, yep, you're right. During these times, this is definitely offensive crime. And it's just like, fuck, now he's going to go to jail too after getting the shit kicked out of him for starving to death and trying to save his little sister? Like, holy fuck. But no, there's this little fucking moment that, oddly enough, the cop is the first damn thing that's been nice to this poor kid. Mm-hmm. And the cop's just like, this is a crime, but so is assault. He's just like, get the fuck out of here,
Yep. And he lets Seta go too. I think he just talks to him, like, asking him if he has anywhere to go or some shit like that. And Seta is just like, his face is like so beat up, and he goes outside, and you see Setsuko peek around the corner because she followed him, and you see, even though his face is like swollen and shit, you can see like the amount of shame and desperation that he has in this moment. And Setsuko's just trying to like support him, and like you can tell he needed that so badly from someone.
And it's such a beautiful moment because it's at that moment that Setsuko realizes, holy shit, I need to be there for him the same way he's there for me. And almost naturally, without even thinking about it, she just blurts out like, before saying, oh my God, I'm so sad, or oh my God, you're beat up. This is what, like 5 or 6 year old kid that should be having those thoughts and emotions, but instead she's just like, are you hurt? Do you need a doctor? Should I go get a doctor for you right now?
Yeah.
And he just has this clear cut look on his face that is just like, oh my God, she's trying to care for me. Someone actually cares. And he kind of breaks down and hugs her, and it's this beautiful moment where the two of them are good again. But yeah, so it's a very emotional scene that really shows off the incredible writing I wrote, and not to mention more character development with Setsuko grasping the reality that she needs to support her big brother as much as he's trying to support her. So yeah. And by the way, if anyone's depressed yet, buckle up.
Just wait. There's more. So, yeah, after this, like, after he feels like the shame from, like, stealing food, I think that after Setsuko, like, she doesn't care about that. She just cares that Big Brother is okay and that, they're gonna be okay together. So he starts risking his life going out during air raids to steal shit from people's houses. And he's like, at first he's like trying to hurry, like you can still tell he's got a little bit of like hesitation while he's doing it, but he has no other options. And he's just a man without a care anymore. He just has to do what he has to do for his sister.
More importantly, he's a man with a little sister that now realizes his little sister doesn't look at him as a bad person for doing these things.
Yeah.
And he knows now that she realizes he needs to do these things for their survival. So that, of course, makes those barriers go down and allow these things to happen, which is, again, just great character development in the writing and all of that. And it was just, I don't know, man. This I don't want to give my overall opinion on it yet, but goddamn, I think you guys know where I'm going with this one. So anyway, I put at this point, it almost looks like Setsuko's health is declining seriously. And I think I'm going to be seeing why this movie is so depressing to everyone, more so than it has been already, at least. So yeah. Let's see here. Oh, okay. This is the scene where he finds out he goes to the bank and tries to pull out what little money he has left. And his thought behind this is like, I'll go to the bank, I'll pull out what little money we have left, we'll get you the proper nutrients, because he took her to a doctor already at this point, right?
Yeah,
am I skipping ahead?
Yeah, you are.
This is why
he takes her to the doctor, and the doctor's basically like, she's malnourished, just feed her. And he's like, with fucking what, bitch? There's no food. Like, what am I supposed to do? So the doctor is absolutely no fucking help. So he's like carrying his sister outside, and like they're on like a dirt road, and he stops and sees this man with a cart with like these big ice chunks. Like he's like sawing into the ice to deliver it to people's houses. And he's standing there watching him, and the guy walks up to the house to deliver the ice, and he bends down and he like picks up a little pile of the ice shavings off of the fucking dirt and is like feeding it to her because there's nothing else. Like, it's just so heartbreaking. Like, he has to feed his little sister ice shavings. Like, come on.
That he had to pick up off the ground.
Yeah.
On top of that, after being told to just feed her.
I know.
It's no big deal. Just feed her.
So yeah, now you can go into your bank spiel.
Sorry. So he goes to the bank and he is thinking, I'll use whatever money I have left to go buy nutritional food for my little sister. So he goes to the bank and he pulls out what little bit of money he has left. And while he's there, he finds out that Japan has surrendered and they've lost the war. And he's kind of worried about that. And that worry turns into, how's my dad doing? And he kind of turns to the person that he's hearing this from. And he's just like, what's going on? Hold on, let me take a drink real quick. I got the hiccups. Sorry, guys, we're human. So he turns to the guy and he's like, what the hell's going on? And the guy's just like, yeah, we ended the war. We got, basically we lost. And ends up finding out that all of the naval ships were destroyed and pretty much everyone in the Navy was killed. So that includes his father as well. So at this point I put, Jesus, this kid can't catch a break. He's starving, his sister is dying from hunger, and he just finds out that his dad died after pulling out what little funds he still has to try and save his sister's life, not to mention he's told in a fashion that no one should have to hear that their parents died. On top of all of that, the rest of the country is just straight up not caring about him or his sister, and you would think someone seeing two children at the brink of death death, even a doctor for that matter, someone might try to reach out and at least try to keep them alive. And because I don't, I put that really helps convey exactly how desperate of a time it is for everyone. Like, so much so that these two children are dying and no one cares because they have their own to worry about, you know? So again, fucking incredible writing. I just wanted to point that out.
Here's something I want to point out. I think that this is where I started to have a bit of a problem with Seta, because as much as he has done for his sister, this whole time he's had multiple people telling him, look, dude, you just need to swallow your pride and go back to your aunt. And as horrible as it was there, it was a clean place to live, they had a roof over their heads, and they had at least some food coming in. Like,
I thought about that a couple of times, and you're right, but I mean, I don't know how much it is a thing of pride as much as it is just, you got to keep in mind, these are both kids. Like, they're not exactly adults that can think of things like pride and stuff like that easily. So he doesn't really come across as the type of person that's proud about what he does. What he does come across is the type of person that just wants to make his father approve him. And I think that's the thing here. It's not so much his pride, it's more of just he wants to show his father that he can do this, because you see a couple of little flashback scenes where it almost seems like his father just never approves of anything that he does, or he's just a difficult man to impress. So because of that, he's constantly seeking that father approval, and I think that's what we're seeing here. Not so much a pride thing, just I have to do this to make sure that my family approves of me, and that's just all there is to it.
Okay.
And like I said, it's a kid who doesn't really understand to grow up beyond that yet, so I think it's still just his immaturity showing. And again, fucking incredible writing. I don't know if all of this was on purpose or not, but goddamn, I was blown away with the writing in this movie.
Yeah, it's great.
But yeah. Oh yeah, it's great. Fucking hell. Okay, do you want me to tackle the next scene?
I think I'll do that because you might skip over something. So
probably,
like, after he finds out his dad is dead, this man has no inhibitions. He is just out here, like, flying through people's houses during these air raids, stealing whatever the fuck he can, and he's, like, jubilant about it at this point. He's like, yeah, I got some good shit, let's go. You know, and he's like, I'm gonna sell this shit for some good food. Like, he's, you know, he's just like, I'm finally, I'm making it. I'm providing for my sister. This is good. But then he gets home, and he finds Setsuko with her little fruit tin that has been empty for a while now. And she's, like, so weak at this point. Like, she's barely moving. And she's like, when he comes in, he's like, look, I got all this great food. Like, look what I got, Setsuko. Look, this is gonna be great. And, like, she's, like, kind of chewing on something. And he goes over to her, he's like, what have you got? And he opens up her mouth, and it's, like, a marble. She's been, like, eating, like, he pulls out her fruit tin and dumps everything out. She's got, like, a bunch of little marbles and shit in there. And she's been, like, eating dirt and glass. Like, it's horrible. Okay, you can take over from this.
Okay, I put, well, I had a feeling this was, or no, not yet. No, I did put that. Well, I had a feeling this was coming. Setsuko dies. And I said, what a scene for it too. I said, seeing a child go delusional from hunger is certainly something to elicit strong emotions. On top of that, the detail to the animation really shows off the deterioration of Setsuko. Like, you actually see her eyes are kind of like cross-eyed, and she can't, like, see straight, and she's skin and bone, and it's just such a depressing, like, image of a child that it's, like, crazy. And then to follow up, it shows no, I'm getting ahead of myself here. But yeah, just the fucking the delusion that, like you were saying, she has clumps of dirt and she's telling them they're rice balls, and she's trying to feed her brother with these things that she thinks are food, and it's just rocks and dirt and marbles, like you said, and it's just, it's heartbreaking to watch. Good lord. But I mean, emotion conveyed, successful. Like, they definitely were like, hey, you're supposed to be feeling sad here, and it's hard not to pick up on that.
Yeah. It's fucking
and then we go right into the next scene where they follow it up, and it shows everyone returning from war. Everyone's coming home from war, and everyone's returning with their families, and they're happy, and they're good to be home with their families together again. And it leads into a bit of a montage of Setsuko being a happy kid with bright music playing in the background. And I thought this was such an interesting scene because it, like someone had mentioned earlier in the chat, it shows the contrast to the last scene, which makes it that much more effective. Like all of a sudden you're seeing this bright, cheery scene after such a depressing, dark scene, that it makes that depressing, dark scene that much more depressing and that much more darker, because like you're seeing all this shit happening now. And I just thought altogether, it's certainly an impactful scene, fit for a death that tremendous, like that big, that impactful of a death. Like that's the way a main character is supposed to be killed off.
Yeah. So, like, for this scene, for me, like, after she dies and, like, he's holding her corpse, you can tell he's kind of done. Like, he has nothing else. Like, he's just...
There's nothing, yeah, you could tell there's nothing left for him to live for. Like, he has no motivation.
So he goes and he buys some cremation materials, and then it cuts to this scene of her, like, ghosting in and out at the beginning, like, where she's playing at the bomb shelter, and what I felt for this was this tremendous loss of beauty and innocence that Setsuko had and found in the world. And her dying such a horrible, slow fucking death, and still having that, you know, hanging on to that beauty and that joy in the world is just fucking heartbreaking.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that like she's literally trying to like help her brother out by feeding him what she thought was food at the very last moments of her life. Like, that's incredible. But I want to point out something else. There's something that we skipped on a bit here. The Firefly scene in the bug net. After she's burying him, while she's burying him rather, she has a conversation with her brother, and she says something along the lines of like how short of a lifespan fireflies have and how depressing that is. And it was at that moment that I thought back to that scene when I seen Setsuko pass away, and I thought back to that scene, and I'm like, holy fuck, that's the title of the movie. She's the Firefly. And it was mind-blowing. Sorry, it was just such a revelation for me, and I'm like, wow, that's so good. That's like, it's just, again, man, the writing in this movie, the symbolism in this movie, that everything about it. Which brings us to the closing scenes. And in the closing scenes, we get to see Seita getting pointers on how to cremate a child. And this really shows off how common it is to have to do this during this time. And we find out that the fruit snack tin in the very beginning, found next to Seita's body is the ash from his little sister's cremation, which I thought was just such a nice touch and gives you a bit more of a reason to like Seita in case you still needed one. Because it's just like, he carried us around up until his final moments, and he was able to like cherish it the way that, you know, he would have if she was still around. And I was just thinking, like, this is just, in my opinion, just great writing, being showed off even up until the ending credits. And that's exactly what happens. We see what took place, and we know what's coming next, and closing credits happen, and it's just like, wow. That whole thing.
Well,
is there anything else?
Okay. Yeah, a little bit. Like throughout the movie, it kind of shows them together watching certain things that are happening in the movie, almost like they're ghosts and they're watching. I don't know if this is what was intended, but it's almost like they're apparitions and they're looking back at what happened to them, and they're together. And then towards the end, they're like happy together again, and they're sitting on a bench, or like I can't remember if they're sitting on a bench or not, but it's over like a modern day city. Did you catch up on that? Like there was like tall skyscrapers and shit at the very end.
I wasn't sure if it was like modern day, or I guess that would make sense because it wasn't a fort. Yeah, I guess I'm just dumb.
I don't know. I might be dumb too, bro. I don't know. That's what I was like. Are they like happy like ghosts that like live together?
About this movie really quick. Like it's certainly, there's a lot of symbolism in it, and it's certainly one of those movies that if you watch a couple of times, you're gonna pick up on more and more. No one's going to watch this movie more times than they have to, though. So, like, as much as I'd love to go back and watch it and see if I can't pick up on all of these things or not, I'm not subjecting myself to it. Like, it's a beautiful movie. There's no way I'm watching it again. Like, and with that, I'm ready to move into.
Oh my god! Did you guys hear that? Cartage said a beautiful movie. We did it, boys. We did it.
Time out.
All right.
Overall. Wow. That's the first word in my overall. Wow. As depressing of a movie as it is, and holy shit is it depressing, I really liked it. And I don't know if I will find myself watching it a lot, but I can certainly see myself watching it again as long as my mental health will allow me to in the future. The writing, the animation, music, everything in this movie are just incredible. The sounds are very descriptive, even to a fault at times, like with the fucking crying. It almost feels horrible nitpicking about it, knowing her ultimate fate. But there was a scene or two of Setsuko's crying that began to annoy me a little. And I mean, it's completely justified, but I'm looking for something to complain about at this point, just to keep myself grounded with this movie a little. But the storytelling is great. As it really makes you feel like you are actually not willing to give up on these two making it. And even though you know the fate of one of them from the very beginning, you still are just like, I'm not giving up on these two. And that's just incredible character development. And as I mentioned plenty before, it also does a great job at conveying certain emotions through the storytelling and just great voice acting. And while on that topic, I watched a dub version, like I said, heresy, I know, but there's something to be said about how well the voice actors did their job in the dub version. I know I kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier, but I never once felt like I was watching a version that wasn't the original or ever thought to myself, I bet that's just a poor translation. And that, to me, makes it feel like a good dub version. But in the end, I think this is just a beautiful movie, a beautiful, well-done movie, and kind of agree with everyone telling me going into this review, everyone should at least see this movie once. It's not a movie I would have seen down on my own if it wasn't for the show, but I'm sure glad I got to see it because I would recommend it to anyone with the included caveat of prepare yourself emotionally ahead of time. But yes, I do think everyone should at least see this movie once. Whether you've seen this review of it, whether you know the whole plot, it doesn't matter. Fucking watch the movie. It's incredible, and everyone should see it at least once. So long as you have the mental health to do it.
Agreed. Like, I don't have a lot to add to that. I think me and you are on pretty much the exact same page with this. It's a very depressing movie. And
but beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It's really beautiful. And it's a really poignant look at the small scale side of war and how such a huge thing affects so many people in such devastating fucking ways. And
that's another thing, just the historical accuracy that goes into it, and like the side of something that you hadn't quite seen before. You know what I mean? It's, at least for me, it's just it's such a, with it having that realism of World War II and all of that, like it just adds a layer to it, especially being American. It's just like, holy shit, this is what they had to go through. And I mean, we weren't around for that time, but even just knowing the history behind it, it's still like impactful, you know?
Yep. It's incredibly sad, and I am of the same feel that everyone should see this movie at least once. I was subjected to it twice, unfortunately. It was probably more sad the second time because I picked up on more things. But I
don't know if you've seen it or not. Did you check what Blaze put in the Discord?
No.
Real quick. So for those that don't know, we come from a Discord community known as DMG. More importantly, do we have a link for the Discord here? Because if not, someone should drop that. But Blaze is Afraid just put a picture in the Discord where he has the actual fucking fruit snack tin from the movie, and that is dope as shit, dude. That is so cool. Such a neat little thing. But yeah, that's holy fuck. I think that's all the depression my body can take for one day. So how about we spin this wheel and get the hell out of here?
Oh, okay. Yeah. We out here. Alright, give me one quick second. I gotta fucking... There we go.
Fucking, what a suggestion, though. Let me just point that out real quick. What a fucking incredible suggestion, because this is certainly a great movie. And yeah, I just want to say that if it wasn't for this show, I probably would have never seen it. So we out here.
This is true. I probably wouldn't have wanted to watch it again either. So, all right. So let's do wheel things. I was very tempted, very, very tempted to change all of them to food, just so you know. But we didn't.
I love how you food. I want music. We keep getting movies.
I know. God, I need food. Please, RNG. All right, loud wheel noises. Let's go. I can't watch. Please be food. No!
Is it movies again?
It's music.
Oh, yes! Yes! We did it, boys! We did it!
Yeah.
It was so close to food, too. Fuck yes! We win these! We win these!
All right. Time out here. Time out. You fuckers made me listen to Tech 9. Please be kind. Please be kind this week, okay? Please.
I personally appreciated Tech 9. Just throwing that out there.
I'm kind of
Just throwing that out there.
All right, whatever, bro. Whatever.
You better listen to the Crane Wives. Like that. What about that?
You said you enjoyed it. You said it was good.
I did enjoy it. You know why? Because I actually had to listen. I had to watch Grave of the Fireflies, Runa. I never would have watched this movie if it wasn't for that.
I never would have watched it again either, but here we are.
we out here, you know, that's all we're saying is we out here. So by all means, please go to the Discord channel, put in all the suggestions. What we do for people that are new here with music is we listen to an entire album and we review the entire album. So if there's a specific album out there by an artist that you really, really find stands out more than others, put it in the Discord and maybe it'll get picked because we out here.
We are indeed out here. And let's see who else is out here so we can get this raid on the road.
What a segue! My God, if I didn't know any better, you were doing podcasts this entire time, like long before Taste Buds. Holy shit. I do have Illogical.
I see Illogical. How much? Usually he's like already done by now. Do you think he's going to be going for a while?
Let's see how long he's been going for.
Fucking ads on this account, bro. I can't.
He's only been going for 51 minutes, so
okay.
I doubt it.
What is he? Is he on XCOM? Of course he is. All right, we're gonna go. We're gonna go raid. AKA Illogical.
AKA Illogical. Yep.
Our homeboy over there playing some XCOM, a little bit of sci-fi strategy game. But yeah,
DMG homies.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for coming out and bearing the emotional burden.
Fucking being out here with us.
It was this movie. We really appreciate you guys.
Emotion into this episode, like for real, we appreciate y'all.
Yep. Oh
and while we're at it, thank you to my co-host Runa for withstanding this with me, because like, holy fuck, this is an emotional burden that I wouldn't want to ask anyone to do, but at the same time, everyone needs to do. And I'm glad that you did it twice for the show, and that's fucking dope.
Well, I'm also thankful for you for, you know, opening up to what you normally wouldn't do. It you know, it's been a fun ride so far, buddy. But yeah, also, I want to give a big shout out to Blaze for making our new alerts. They're fucking fire. Thanks, dude. Really appreciate that.
Out cheer, Blaze, out cheer.
Indeed, this man has been churning out things the last week, and it's been fantastic. So yeah, big thank you guys. We're gonna go say to Illogical now. So yeah, see you guys next week. Give us your suggestions in Taste Buds, in Discord. Bye.
Music, bye.